Hey, this is Liz, and you're listening to the SouthCack Syndicate Podcast.
Welcome back. Thank you for listening to the SouthCack Syndicate Podcast. My name is Jared Cutterman, and I'm with my co-host,
Kyle Voss, and this is episode 18.
18. Today is Friday. If you're driving in your car listening to us, we appreciate it. The weather is sunny and cool.
Yeah, one of the things I did want to mention that we kind of failed to mention is you can watch this as well on YouTube. So just search SouthCack Syndicate Podcast on YouTube. You can find us there. The episodes are maybe a couple weeks behind, I guess, on YouTube, but they're there. The plan's already kind of speed that up, and it'll only be like a week behind.
Mm-hmm. So that's YouTube. Check it out. So today, interesting.
How you feeling today, Jared?
I'm great.
Jared had a
great night.
Had a great date night last night. Yeah.
So today we've got a very interesting character. We'll never get it in on one episode. We'll have him back. It's like having an onion, and you just got to peel back the layers. This guy has done a lot and into a lot and traveling a lot. So we're going to hit on some Instagram. We're going to hit on van life. We're going to hit on some stock market tips. And I want to welcome Bobby Myers to the podcast. Hey, Bobby, how are you?
What's going on, Jared and Kyle?
Just another day in the office.
All right, man. It is a gorgeous day out here in South Carolina.
Living the dream.
It is. So Bobby and I have been friends for, a decade, it seems like, originally from here.
Yeah.
And then took off down to Miami-Dade for a spell.
I had to be an adult down there and started my career down there, but I'd come back, for a month or two. I'd come back up here. I'd still had a family, my mother and my father up here, so I'd come up to Walhalla, Mountain Rest. And
did you go to school here?
Yeah, I went to Seneca.
Okay.
Yeah. Played for Coach Tom Bass.
Okay, yeah. I think, what year did you graduate?
92.
Okay, so that was just before us, I guess. Because I think Bass was still there when we played.
I didn't play.
We didn't play for him, but played against him.
Yeah.
He was also my driver's ed teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was rough.
I bet. Doesn't it usually work like that? Because I think
I'd Coach Pate.
Yeah, our coach was our driver's ed.
I think they have to teach to coach and who can't drive a car.
That's the class. Hey, take us. Today we're driving to Chick-fil-A.
And pick up teacher appreciation food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you came back from Miami and you kind of hunkered down here for a little bit, and then you took off.
That's right. Yeah. I spent 23 years in a very high stress, life and death career. 23 years, long time.
Gives you a lot of time to evaluate what's important, I guess.
Oh, man, you ain't kidding, Kyle. So, of course, came back home. The first thing I did was retired on my 46th birthday. Mm-hmm. And said, well, I'm going to come back home and let's do it here. It's going to be the rest of my life here.
Yeah.
COVID hit, and I had a van. And I'd done some traveling, but not extensive traveling at that point.
Right.
So I said, well, let's take off for 5-6 months, which I did. Got homesick, though, because everywhere I've been all over the world, and especially all over the country. Right here, upstate South Carolina is the place. Don't tell anybody. Don't let the secret out.
Too late.
But I tell you what, there is no place like home. We are,
amen.
Yeah.
We are blessed to be here.
I don't know that I'm as well-traveled as you, but I've probably experienced every part of the country. You have the desert, you have the whatever, mountains, the Rockies, and I'm with you on that. Like this is a special place for sure.
Oh man, yeah.
Yes.
And it's a special place, but it's two places in one. Like where we're at is one particular part of South Carolina, and you can go to the coast. It's a totally different state.
Sure, yeah.
40-minute flight.
Yeah,
yeah,
or for us poor folks, 4-hour drive.
Whatever. So you took off for I think I remember your first trip after coming back. It was 5 or 6 months.
That was about 5 months, yeah.
And you went north, and then you went west, and you went south, and just all over the country.
I went from Canada to Mexico to the Pacific back to the Atlantic. Yeah.
Did you plan it out or just wing it?
I winged it, man.
Good for you.
And I never know where I'm going to sleep the night before, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, you wake up.
I'm like, let's just go and we'll figure it out. And I always figured it out. It could be in a parking lot, a Walmart, which I hate doing. Or it could be in the middle of a forest, in the middle of the desert, up top of the mountain. And my first a van I purchased in 2019.
Yep.
And I was a Jeep guy at the time. I was a Jeep Wrangler guy. Loved my Jeep. This is the two-door Jeep.
Like an Overland. You have an Overland setup on it, though?
I did.
Yep.
And but you couldn't sleep very comfortable in that thing. So I started looking at vans. I was like, it's got to be 4x4. It's got to be something I can take wherever, on a beach or up on a mountain.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I purchased a Ford E350.
Yeah.
As one of the bigger passenger vans, and decked it all out and had it built out and everything else. And I had everything I could possibly need in there. Wasn't the most comfortable thing,
But you had it.
but I had it.
Yeah. Was it pretty incognito? I mean, could you go to a Walmart parking lot and nobody really think nothing about it?
Yeah, for one night.
On the van? On the van?
Yeah, I mean,
It
have to
wasn't,
move-
it wasn't a free candy van. This thing,
Yeah.
This thing had a paddleboard up top, mountain bike on the back, ladder on the side.
I got you.
It looked like an overland setup.
Yeah.
Like, there was no mistaking it.
So I have like this. So I'm married, have 4 kids. So like, there's no way I could do. I mean, I could if I got a school bus or did a schoolie, but I have this like secret affinity to do what you do. Like I watch those videos. I follow all kinds of people on YouTube, and I watch them building vans to ambulances to schoolies, like full on schoolies. I'm like, man, that would be so cool to do, And I actually hope that one day, my kids are gone and me and the wife, she's not too happy about doing it, but I'm like, nah, we're going to build one and we're going to take off.
oh, she'd love it. I guarantee. It's hard not to love. The thing with schoolies, though, and
You can't get them in certain spots, which is what I've heard.
that's right.
Yeah.
You trade comfort for freedom
Yeah.
and vice versa.
See, I think I would want to, that's why I say if it was just us two, I would probably go with more of a setup like you, where you can get in and out, park anywhere you want. Most people don't really know that you're sleeping there. You can kind of get away with that for a night or two. Versus a schoolie, it's a schoolie. Like, There's
somebody's in there in
Yeah.
bed. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but how there is a subculture, a van life subculture, or nomad subculture.
Yeah, it's getting super popular.
super popular. And it got popular during COVID because people are like, let's get out of Dodge.
And a lot of people work remote too, so like they took their jobs with them.
That's right. So what I discovered real fast, and this is how I wound up in the van. And it's a funny story. Left Miami, Florida, went out to California, picked up, but I delivered my Jeep. I sold a Jeep to a friend of mine who lives in Hawaii, and she's a nurse out there. And they can't get vehicles in Hawaii. And if they do, they're coming from California.
Right.
And the taxes are ridiculous and everything else. So she's like, can I buy the Jeep? I'm like, absolutely. Drove it out to California, picked up a van from a gentleman who he was selling his van. It was beautiful, beautiful van. I seen it online and I was like, that's what I want. That is the one I want.
Yep.
So picked it up in LA, took the Jeep onto a barge and shipped it to Hawaii. I'm driving the van back, and my second night, I spent a few days in San Diego, but I went out into this small town in the middle of the Arizona desert called Quartzsite.
Yep.
Never heard of it before in my life. I was like, oh, that's a place to stop. And it was about maybe 2 hours before the sun set. And I'm in this taco joint in the middle of the desert. It's a small town, and I'm the only vehicle in there. And it's 4x4, and you have all the,
Right.
I didn't have all the bells and whistles on it, but a lot of bells and whistles came with it already. This guy comes into the restaurant. He's like, man, is that your vehicle outside? Is that your rig? I said, yes, sir, it is. And he goes, man, I've always wanted one of those. So I said, come on, sit down and have it. We had tacos and a Corona together. And he was an older guy, maybe 70, and he was an engineer, I believe. He was out of Colorado. And it's like, I'm traveling with a bunch of people. We're all elderly.
Yeah.
And we're all out in the desert, and this is what we do for the next 5 months.
We just travel.
We just travel together.
When was this? Was it during like the winter?
This was right around October 2019.
Because
It's okay to go here?
No, absolutely. This is a great story. It hit me with story.
About halfway through.
Yeah. Tell the whole thing. It's great.
So he goes, we're just a bunch of old people. He said, where are you camping tonight? And this is really new to me. My third night on the road.
I don't really know. How this?
And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to camp over here. And there's out west. There's plenty of camps, of free campsites. It's called Bureau of Land Management, BLM.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, and you have national forests too. You don't have to pay. You don't have to go to a campground and pay $20 or $30. You can go just about anywhere.
Yeah, there's no
out west.
picnic table. You just park wherever the hell you want to.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and some of the most amazing scenery. So out there, it's just amazing scenery out there. It's 30-foot cactus everywhere, and desert and coyotes, and it's really fantastic.
You get horizon sunsets versus out here, all you see is it go behind the trees.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. So we were having a great conversation. He's like, well, we're camping tonight. I said, well, I guess up here north of town. And he goes, why don't you come with me, hang out with us? We're going to have a turkey dinner. There's about 20 of us. We're going to have a turkey dinner, and we're going to do this. There's movie nights. And I'm like, wow, really? Y'all got it all set up nice. He goes, yeah, come on out. So I followed him out into the desert, about 5 miles out of town. And I get there, and when we get there, there's a giant ring of different rigs. And you have your Class A's, your Class C's, you have Scamps, you have all sorts of vehicles that are there already. And they're in a big, giant circle.
Burning Man.
It's kind of like an old person Burning Man.
Yeah, a little
Just
miniature.
wait.
Okay, I'm sure where we're going with this.
So right in the middle is this giant campfire with a camp setup, a fire ring, and with a bunch of chairs around. I don't see anybody, and he pulls into a spot, and I'm way on the outside, and I'm like, okay. I eventually get out, and when I get out, I'd notice people kind of exiting their rigs, and every single one, they're all. He was the youngest, I believe, and he was 70. The oldest was 94. Nice woman.
Good for them.
She was a school teacher out of Pennsylvania. That's all I remember about her. All in the nude.
Coming out of the van's nude, huh?
Coming out of the van's completely nude.
They
Now,
are living their best life.
Sounds like that one of those Florida. You ever heard about those places in Florida? Like most STDs ever in this one community or whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's Celebration, I believe. That's near Orlando, Tampa area. Yeah.
I don't think at 90 in the middle of the desert, there's a lot of that going on, but understand.
I'm sure there is.
Maybe.
If they're all naked too. I mean,
to them, and I'm with my career. I'm not a.
So they didn't give you no heads up at all. Like, dude didn't say, hey, there might be somebody that doesn't have any clothes on.
I'm no stranger to nudity from my former career. We'll put it that way. However, not a warning, not a nothing, not a hey,
not a hint.
There may be a little nudity, nothing. It was just all. It was.
We're all free spirits. They didn't say nothing like that. No,
nothing.
And even I've walked into a party and they go heads up.
Yeah.
But not in the desert out west, I guess. That's just a thing.
So, what are your two choices? My choices: A is to get the heck out of there, or B, just go with it and eat that turkey dinner.
Yeah. Drop trowel and join the club.
Yeah. They're like, we got a young one in town.
Now, I was going to do that. I'm pretty modest, and we're pretty modest up here in the South. We're conservative here in the South. So I said, all right, well, I had some. I'm going to take some pictures out here of this 30-foot cactus, and I'll see y'all at dinner. And I came back, and thank goodness, because it drops to 40 degrees at night in the desert.
Everybody puts clothes on.
Everybody's clothed by the time I get back, and one of the best turkey dinners I've ever had in my life. And so we sat around the campfire and listened to campfire stories, and they wanted to hear my story because they all traveled. This is what they do.
Yeah.
Come, wintertime out there. They leave from Minnesota, Colorado, wherever, and they just travel around the desert Southwest in their vehicles. That was my initial introduction.
Did they say something about it afterwards? Like, oh yeah, we're like a nudist colony, or like nothing. Act like it never happened.
Nothing.
You showed up for turkey dinner and they act like
normal.
it never happened.
Yep. Nothing.
I mean, have you ever shown up somewhere and acted like the night before never happened? Yes.
I don't know. It depends on if I know the people or not. And it wasn't the night before. It was like 20 minutes
That's
before.
right.
I'd be like, hey,
That's true.
Anyway, I would have so many questions
Yeah.
that I think and me not knowing anybody, I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah. And this was still in your E350, right?
Yeah, I just picked it up from LA, driving back east.
Now, you held on to that thing for a couple years,
I
right?
did, yeah.
How many miles did you put on that?
Oh gosh, about 100,000.
Yeah.
And I've recently sold it back in July.
Is that market still pretty good?
Oh yeah,
You got your money back?
and
You
then
decided-
I think it's getting better, man.
Yeah.
More and more people are getting into that world. A lot of people don't want to build them themselves.
You remember when Chris Farley did the SNL skit in the 90s? He's like, if you don't straighten up, you're going to end up living down by the river in a van or in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like you got to be an entrepreneur or a retiree or a millionaire to afford a van.
Or, you just got to be willing to take the risk too, man. A lot of people, a lot of those videos I watch, it's like, yeah, we sold everything we had.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for people to do.
Oh, yeah.
Sell your house, sell your possessions, and then like venture
Get in a
out
van.
venture out into something that you have no clue how it's going to play out. But I feel like if you can cut those ties, you'll experience a whole world that like 0.2%, 0.02% of the world get to experience, right? Because there's no rat race.
Have you ever seen the movie Into the Wild?
I don't think so. I've heard of
It's
it.
the Chris McCandless story about his trek to Alaska. And it's a true story, and I'm sure if you're listening, you're familiar with the story or the movie. Eddie Vedder did the soundtrack for it. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's exactly what he did. He cut up his Social Security card, cut up his driver's license, threw it, burned his money, and started hoofing it across the country, picking up odd jobs until he got to Alaska. And the whole thing was it's just anti-society. Why are we trying to do the rat race? Why are we working 30 years for a gold watch and a rocking chair after that? He was anti-establishment.
And a lot of
you familiar with the movie?
very much so.
Love the movie.
a lot of the people that I've seen too, they talk about the fact like, why wait till you're not in your prime to experience these things? Like, live bare minimum now.
Yeah.
Right. And this is kind of not necessarily what you guys, you're doing that now, but you did the rat race thing.
Mm-hmm.
You retired. So, technically you've already went through that. You're just young enough to still be able to get out there and experience these things. But, a lot of these people that are right out of college and they're just like, can't find a job. They got some kind of crazy major, can't get a job. They're just like, what are we doing this for?
Yeah, that's right. So while Bobby was still in the E350, and we're going to get into the Revel story here in a second, but he was stopping by cemeteries.
Well, it goes. I don't want to interrupt, but it was before
please.
that. So, March 23rd, 2016. I'm living in Miami. I lived right on the beach. And it was a great surfing day. I'm out surfing, and long story short, I helped rescue a young man.
Yeah.
And it was in the process, nearly killed myself doing so.
About drowned yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to get into too much detail, I nearly killed myself. And from that day forward, I'll give you a quote. It'll probably be on my own headstone one day. And I can't take credit for this quote. It's from Confucius, the Chinese philosopher. It says, "Every man has two lives. The second one begins when they realize they only have one."
Yeah.
That day I realized, I only have one of these.
And it almost ended just now.
Yeah. So that day, it changed my life. Changed how I looked at things. I noticed things you never noticed before.
Yep.
When you realize just how precious that is. Sunsets and sunrises. I never paid attention to that stuff. That's every day I look at either the sunrise and sunset and take that in.
Because you're like, that's another one in the books
Yeah.
that I was able to soak in.
Yeah, and it changes your life. And I can't, if anyone's listening who's ever had a near-death experience, I can guarantee that it has changed your life, sometimes for the best, most of the time for the best, I think. But you don't take life for granted anymore, or friendships, or relationships, or anything.
I've got a buddy of mine that we're trying to get on the podcast that's got cystic fibrosis. And so you're limited. They basically tell you, 25, you're done. Well, he's like in his mid to late 30s, I think. And I talked to him. I'm like, how, having that has to change the way you live. He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because you don't know how long you got left.
That's right.
You're like maximizing every day, which is what you're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah. So from that day forward, I had to stay in pretty good shape for my career. So I was jogging, I was swimming, and everything else. But I went to go visit some friends, and I had buried in cemetery. We had big cemeteries in Miami, 100 acres, 200 acres. And I'm in at this particular cemetery, and it's like, that's a good place to jog. Keep, before I go to work or something.
Nobody's in your way.
Nope. You get hit, and it's
Yeah.
you get hit by cars in Miami jogging on the side of the road. So I said, well, maybe I'll just start jogging here. I'll visit my friends here every once in a while. And so I started doing it like once or twice a week. And I'd go, and when I was jogging, I would see the first it started with, I'd see the little silk flowers, toppled over. So I'd go and fix them, put them back up, and off I go jogging again. And then it got to where I was like, oh, okay, I need to pluck some weeds around this particular headstone, or I need to do this, or need to do that.
That headstone's leaning over. Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing. Mm-hmm. And it was very therapeutic. And it's kind of, I won't say morbid. I mean, you got to be comfortable with death, which I was and still am. But it's, you don't want to spend too much time in a cemetery.
Yeah.
But I had, and you realize these certain things in the cemetery, you learned a lot about history. There's so much history in these cemeteries.
There's a lot of appreciation I would think you could get from, just reading those headstones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can see people's humor. These people that have departed. I've seen like recipes on headstones where like grandma's
Their famous recipe.
chocolate chip cookies, and they have, it's fantastic. Some great quotes.
Special brownies.
Yeah. And then you see people, what they've, a lot of war heroes, especially World War II. Mm-hmm. You see what they've done, and you see, just amazing stories you find just any cemetery.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big cemetery. Just our local cemeteries here in Oconee County we are filled with
old.
So I was going through your Instagram yesterday and seeing where you'd posting headstones that actually had the pictures of the person on it.
In Colorado, I saw those.
And I was like, man, that one picture speaks volumes to who that person was.
Yeah, those are called porcelain portraits. And they were big back in the late 1800s.
People still do that.
Yeah, they still do it.
They should. It should be.
Now they're laser etched.
Yeah.
I'm doing porcelain because it looked like a real picture to me. Like laser etched, you kind of get like this. No, I want people to see who I was.
Oh, you're gray.
I want to see my gray, my beard.
I lived a full life.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I started. So I started cleaning headstones, and it went from cleaning and into like complete restoration. So I went around the country in the van, not to big cemeteries, because you have the big cemeteries like
They take pretty good care of
maintenance crews.
It's called perpetual care. That's where they hire people to go mow the grass, everything else, and then we have ours out here.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Jared's family's buried up at Lillwater, up the mountain.
I am perpetual care for that cemetery.
Exactly. And Jared, 3, 4, 5 times a year, goes up to his family cemetery. And there's a good maybe 200 people buried there.
Yeah, there's a lot. Me and my cousin Michael, we do that every year.
Weed
together. Eat and mow and try.
Yeah, there's a ton of cemeteries.
Kill ants.
Especially in the South. I don't know about, out West, I don't remember ever seeing this, but especially in the South, like most of your old cemeteries are right next to old churches.
Yeah.
And they're just not taken care of the big mainstream cemeteries are now.
Yeah. Well, ours, for example, is right off the Chattooga River. It was probably the closest knoll for anybody in that area.
Yeah.
There was no church there. This is just the plot. And we've got tombstones that are pieces of rock.
Yeah.
That's
Like there's some Roman numerals on them. Like they go way back. And we've got Civil War, because some Confederate guys up there. But for me, and this is different for Bobby, but for me and my family cemetery, I'm attached to these people.
Yeah.
And I can hear Grandpa going, "Yeah, you missed a spot."
Yeah.
Any job worth doing is worth doing right.
Yeah.
And so it's like an honor for me. In Bobby's case, it's an honor for him, but he has no relationship with the people.
Yeah.
But what I love about Bobby's Instagram, and it's ROUR, Heroes Headstones.
__.
Yeah. R_Heroes_Headstones.
Yeah. Now I will tell you, I tried to search that yesterday and it didn't pull up.
Just write it out. Our here.
You just write it out, then it showed up for some reason. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but he'll go in, and I encourage, if you're listening, to go check his Instagram out. You know, he's probably pushing 6,000 followers and a ton of reels and posts, but he goes in and tells the story. Like, I remember when it was just time lapse of you toothbrushing and scrubbing and chemical and washing. And then at some point you transitioned into maybe in the van where you had a little more free time.
Yeah.
And some editing software. And he went in and dug through the archives and found the story of Air Force pilots and his children. And I mean, I think it is super, get cold chills just thinking about it. And that is it takes a special person to put in the time for somebody that don't know.
You know,
thank you.
One of the biggest things that it really bothers me is the lack of education of our history now. It could be anything, right? It could be local history. It could be national history. But, you know, I feel like I know until I see things like what he's posting or what other people are, and I'm like, I have no clue about our history.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know the wars, I know, but man, you start digging into it and you're just like, you know, it's like you realize that you know like 1% of what, and then when you dig into it, it makes you appreciate. And I think a level of appreciation is exceptionally good for whatever you're trying to do in life.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You need to appreciate where you came from, what you got, you know, and you can do that by seeing what other people went through to get you where you're at. Or,
you know, it's crazy though, watching his videos and seeing these guys from, 1802. In their porcelain picture, and you now you can put a face with the name on some of these that you did in Colorado. Sure. And I just wonder, it's not that I question immortality. What I question is, have I done enough in that dash in between my birth date and my death date? Like my mom used to say, we're still does. We're only 2 generations from being forgotten.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Like your grandkids, your great grandkids will never know you. Yeah, right. So have we done enough? What did this John guy in Colorado, what did he do? Like, and now we're 200 years later, and it's like.
Have you ever thought about making YouTube videos?
I do. I'm about maybe 2,000.
Okay, so you do make them. I'll have to check that out.
I haven't done it. I have about 80,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay.
Oh, now, same handle?
Yeah, same handle. Our Here's Headstones. Thing on TikTok, I refuse to be monetized. So when you sign up for TikTok, and with all the controversy going on, I signed up as Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, one of the two. Date of birth of 1/1/71. I don't want it. Number one,
Quack.
Yeah. So they got Donald Duck, but I refuse to take a dime for this. It's not about making money. I couldn't look myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And say, I made some money off cleaning somebody's grave.
But do you look at it as you made money off cleaning somebody's grave, or you made money off the creation of the content? The cleaning of the grave is different.
To me, it's the same. It's the same. And I got into it because I was doing it, and people would ask, or they'd tell me, and Jared being one of them, they'd say, why don't you put this out there in social media? People, because I would just take videos and send them to my friends.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you should do something with this. I started putting it on Instagram and YouTube, and it's grown. I'm not going to name names, though. I've had celebrities reach out to me and say, man, this is fantastic, and what you're doing. And I started just cleaning the stones, but then I dig into their pasts after I clean. I don't want to look at these people and
as you're doing it
before I'm doing it. I don't want to make it if I go by, if a stone or a graveside is neglected, and the vast majority, 99% of the ones are from neglected cemeteries. And real quick, do you know the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard?
No idea.
Cemetery is its own little
by somebody else.
It's its own piece of property, like Low Water at the Snyder Cemetery. But a graveyard is attached to a religious facility, like a church.
Okay.
So that's the yard where the graves are that is attached to the church.
So the church has a graveyard.
Exactly.
We have a cemetery.
A cemetery is a physical spot that was developed just for that purpose.
Yeah. So and that's how it started. So I've done as of 2016 when I started. I want to say I'm at 830 right now in 28 states.
Okay.
Unknown. Like somebody will drive by and see a fresh, cleaned cemetery
Yeah.
or grave site, and Bobby's gone
Yeah.
6,000 miles away by then, and nobody knows who did it.
Yeah.
I've had somebody reach out. Man,
Maybe they found something that you did that was they knew who it was type of deal. Or?
I don't know how they found me, but they did. And wonderful family. And they're in Montana. And not in the middle of nowhere, Montana. Quick story. Fergus County, Montana. It's a small town called Louisville. And I actually spent the night in the cemetery. I couldn't find a camping spot in time because it's so remote. And I wasn't in this. I was kind of off the side of the road at the cemetery. But in the morning, I woke up and started cleaning this World War II veteran's grave. It was in bad shape. And I was out there for about an hour, and this gentleman comes over in a truck, and he had a little dog with him. Dog's sniffing around the cemetery and everything. He comes up to me, and we started talking. And he's, "Oh, so is this your family member?" I'm like, "No, I needed some help." Obviously, and this gentleman had died maybe in the 60s, so no family to attend to it. And it was a small cemetery where I don't say neglected cemetery, but it needed some work.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I look for usually. So Fergus County, and early in the morning, he starts telling me about a family member who served with the 10th Mountain Division in World War II. And if you're familiar, it's a storied division. Bob Dole was in that division. And to this day, his 10th Mountain Division is still around there. They're just amazing with the stories coming out of that division. So he said, I have this family member named Clifford Lervik, Norwegian, I believe, or Swedish. I believe they're Norwegian. Because he's up at this particular cemetery. Could you go up there and maybe check on him? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Montana.
I got nothing better to do.
I didn't even know where I was going to sleep tomorrow night.
You pointed me to a KOA. A DOA.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
So this was near a town called Jordan, Montana. Population maybe 500. And I know this because I met the entire town.
All 500.
There was
Were they in a circle around a campfire?
Hey-o. So it was 500 miles. Montana's a big state. It's our fourth largest state. And I was like, yeah, sure,
By acreage? I get, yeah.
It'd have to be, not
Yeah,
square
miles,
miles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's huge. So I said, yeah. Now looking on the map, it's like these big giant square states. That'll take me 2 hours to get to. No, it takes a day or 2 days sometimes.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'll go up there, sure. And he told me this gentleman's story. He was just this giant war hero, and he was a family member. I didn't ask, details. I was like, yeah, I wrote down his name, and I didn't even get his name. So I go up, I drive to, and I took the long way around to get to Jordan, Montana. Go to Jordan, Montana. It's off this farm road. It's about 25 miles of dirt, unpaved roads to get there. And lo and behold, it's there. It's a pretty big cemetery. It's from early 1800s. So you see all these really great hand-carved monuments, and they put a lot of time and effort and love into carving these old marble monuments, a lot of them. And I found Clifford Lervik, and I sweeped it up and cleaned them up, and the wind was real bad out there. I had to zip tie some things down, and that was it. I think I'd cleaned 3 or 4 of them while I was there. And I did it. That video is on my YouTube. The search for Clifford Lervik, I want to say.
That's cool.
Man, I'd say about 3 months ago, I get a message on Instagram from one of his family members, and said, "Hey, I found you. I wanted to thank you," and I was blown away. I still don't know how they
found you.
Maybe through Google search, they type in their father's name.
Yeah.
And so we follow each other on Instagram cool. Now. And lovely family. They're ranchers out in Montana, and the whole family from, I think Clifford Lervik's father fought in World War I. Clifford fought in World War II. I think his another son in Vietnam, and then I think his granddaughter fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. It was just this whole lineage of soldiers out in the middle of Montana. So it was such an honor to do.
Backbone of this country.
That's great. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about upgrading vans and stock market tips on the road with Bobby Myers. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. When it comes to your auto and home insurance needs, make things simple and trust your Allstate experts. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your auto and home. Bundling saves money, sure, but it also saves you time. So you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact Clemson Allstate agent Shane Smith at 864-654-1047 today for a free personalized insurance proposal. Allstate, are you in good hands?
We're back with Bobby Myers, Our Heroes Headstones on TikToker,
Instagram,
and
YouTube.
So check him out. So, Bob, we talked about a little bit of your first van, and you threw about 100,000 miles all from Canada to California, literally.
East Coast, West Coast, North
up and
Coast.
down.
Yeah.
And then you decided, I've paid my dues.
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place you ever been in the U.S.?
10 Sleep, Wyoming.
Really?
10 Sleep, Wyoming.
TEN.
10, like the number 10, 10 Sleep. It's an Indian, I can't remember it. It may be the Utes, named this town 10 Sleep because it took 10 nights of sleep to get from one camp to this particular town.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
Unbelievable.
So you paid dues in your E350, and I remember that van.
Yeah.
And it was a good van. You had a lot of room traveling, but you decided it was time for an upgrade.
It was time for an upgrade. I'm getting older, and man, I need a little touch screen here, or I need a bigger bed,
a better heater,
a refrigerator. Well, I had a refrigerator, but in the old one, but something that would sink, and a toilet.
Solar, you got solar set up?
I have solar on top.
So you did a lot of research before you made this purchase, right?
A ton of research.
There's a lot of options now. There weren't 20 years ago. There just wasn't a lot of options out there. But now you got companies like Mercedes that are throwing Sprinter vans at companies, and they're upfitting from bumper to bumper. But tell everybody, what did you end up going with?
So I went from the 2006 E350 Ford to the 2022 Sprinter van, 4x4. It's called the Revel. That's the model. And now, in the van life, I don't consider myself part of that van life community, but there is.
But you are. Arizona proved that.
Oh man, that's just one. That was my third day of van life. We're going
like I'm in it.
4 years now. It gets weirder.
Gets deep.
It gets deep. So there's like I don't know, like the people there's you see vans out there from the 70s and the 80s, and they're a little creepy. They're a little strange. But there's a like these people don't hang out with these people, and these the scamps don't hang out with the Class C's, and it's a weird thing.
So there is some dynamics in there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like being back in high school.
It's like if I built it, I'm not hanging out with you that you bought it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now the old van I built out. The new van I didn't have to do a thing except
turnkey.
That's it, turnkey, and
big difference though. I'd imagine from that 1-ton suspension E350 to a brand spanking new, plastic on the floor mat smell.
Sprinters are awesome. My sister ordered one. She does it more for taking the family on vacation. They don't sleep in it,
right?
But they'll literally put a trailer behind it, take bicycles, whatever, throw it all in there. They throw like 8 people in the Sprinter and take off. It's got a bathroom in it.
Yeah, I wanted to open up for Sonny Ledford in Indiana one night, and that's what they were traveling in. It was a Sprinter van, the whole band.
Yeah.
I opened the door and I was like, God, what does that smell? Well, it's us. And weed. But mostly us.
Probably mostly weed, yeah.
But the Sprinter van is a great van, but they've taken it to a whole nother level. It's not just a passenger van anymore.
Right.
It is a tiny home.
It's the new high roof VW van.
And if it has a restroom and a shower in it, you can write it off.
That's right.
If it weighs a certain amount.
You can do that. You can take it either way, or you can claim it as a second home.
Really?
And take deductions off
Interesting.
that. Mm-hmm.
It's a fan, and I tell you what, it's when I got into it, I was like, oh man, I'm the guy who lives down in a van down by the river. You know, I tell you what, I don't regret one day, 1 second of what I've done. I
bet.
loved every single moment of van life.
You're living the dream.
And it's tech savvy. Like it's tech friendly, not savvy. It's tech friendly. So which means, Bobby, have you got Starlink on that?
I have Starlink, yeah.
Yeah. So it gives you a chance to open up your laptop, edit your headstone videos, and then check your stocks for the morning. Do you do that?
I was going to say, let's get it. Like you talk about you don't want to monetize the content you make.
No, I refuse.
But I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, like, okay,
how do you afford?
He's living the dream.
Life?
He's traveling around.
Well, he's also retired, so there's a pitch in there. But
I have a pension check that comes in every month.
But the stock
and I guess
play,
the cheaper you can keep your cost of living, the further that pension check goes.
Of course, yeah. And diesel prices. The Revel takes. We're out west, and it's like $6 a gallon out there.
Yeah,
it does cost some money. Absolutely.
Well, the Rebel's not cheap by sticker price anyway.
It's not. MSRP is like $207.
Yeah.
And 207,000.
Yeah.
I know what Adam just picked up the Storyteller, the Mercedes Storyteller, and I know what the sticker price on that was. I was like, what in the world? And that's who said, I got to write it off, and I needed to write it off.
Like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, that's how we get toys. We get tax deductions. So I want to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got involved in stock trading as a hobby, but now it's like a thing for you, right? You're like,
oh yeah.
So tell us kind of in the beginning of what you were doing.
Man, we're going back 20 years.
And are we day trading, or are we looking at mutual funds and just checking on things? Or are you actually swapping and moving? And
mutual funds is how I retired. And I got into mutual funds late 90s, 98.
A lot of dividends, I guess. And
Yeah. Mutual funds, I tell you what, if there's one way to go, if you're a younger person, you don't even have to be a younger person. If you're just you could be 80.
Yeah.
And mutual funds, I swear by them. I got into mutual funds, and that's hence why I was able to retire at 46. But I also do day trading as well. I went a little bit into crypto. One of my brothers is a huge crypto guy, and swears by it.
Crypto's young. That's the thing with crypto.
well, we don't want to get off on crypto.
We don't. I'm just saying though, it's not the stock market.
No,
It's,
right.
It's it's young.
I am a stock market guy. It is tried and true, and has always done me right. Everybody from 1926 onwards, or 1929, 29 onwards, is done pretty good in the stock market if you stay in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of you got to stay on top of things and everything else. But if that's the way to go, it's the way to go. And mutual funds is what had me retired at an early age. If I give you one piece of advice, mutual funds right now, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
and from there,
Yeah. Especially if your company will like match.
yeah.
If you have
So
any
you-
kind of match, take advantage of
You
every.
took the stockbroker out. You took the middleman out, and you have learned everything about what you're doing on your own. So you don't need that 1% out of the picture. You're doing all this on your own. So walk us through some of what do you look for in a stock?
Well, dividends number one.
You're dividend only.
I'm not dividend only. No.
A lot of times you get paid to wait though.
Yeah.
It's
I'll give an example. I got involved with Taser stock back in 2004 when it came out. 50 cents a stock, and everything that's gone on. The Taser, the
Yep.
in law enforcement they have the Taser guns, and that was a stock, and never thought that'd turn out. I was like, I'll put a few $100 into it, and I tell you what, it split X amount of times, and after 2020, everything happened in 2020. It just went right through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Knowing what is happening in the world, what's happening in society.
So we're probably a lot alike. So I'll invest pretty heavy in dividend style stocks, stuff I know, the stuff that I feel like is going to be around for a long time.
Sure.
And then there's the other half of that where I invest in the technologies, which aren't usually dividend stocks. Technologies, growing companies, they don't pay a dividend because they're reinvesting that capital into growing the company. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so then I'll play with those.
So I'm going to throw out just a few stocks, and I don't want to spend any time on them. I just want you to tell me
yay or nay.
Yes, no.
Absolutely.
And we'll move on to the next one. Amazon.
No.
Tesla.
Yes.
Apple.
As of right now, what is it? December 1st, 2022? No.
Yeah. That'd be me too. It'd be me too.
In fact, I sold I sold every Apple stock I owned about a month ago.
The problem with what you just said is they're all in this same. They're all technology companies, right? So he's going to pick the best of the breed, which would be Tesla, in my opinion, and that's what he picked. Now, if you would have said like
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yes.
See, that's not a technology play,
Right?
Although they own a ton of Apple, but
BP.
Oh yes, yes. I'm
and they pay a good dividend too.
yeah. In fact, I'm in BP right now.
Interesting. Throw them out 3.
Your energy stocks, you're not going to lose, whether it's 2022 or 2082.
You follow Kathy Wood?
No,
You don't follow her at all?
I've never heard of her.
ARK Investing.
No.
So she's a pure technology. So she's the only ETF that's pure technology. And when she says technology, she don't mean like Apple because it's a technology stock. She's like, no, I'm gonna invest in technologies that are gonna be the world in the future, like true technology. Mm-hmm. So she's in like, a lot of the stuff that's in the biohacking space and the CRISPRs and the Teslas but anyway, she has an ETF that basically invests in all these. Some crypto in there. Like she does a little bit of everything, but she has a newsletter that's pretty good. And she's all in. She's one of those, she's the poker player that's not like, I'm going to kind of play it safe. She's like, nope.
Yeah.
We're just going to put all the chips out there. We do enough research that we believe in what we believe. We're going to put all the chips out there and we'll just see how it plays out. Wow. And she was back when Tesla was, everybody was shorting Tesla 4 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
Shorting the crap out of it. She was the one that was saying it'll be what it is. And she was right. But
yeah, I follow her.
Kathy, she's to me, she's a smart one. Mm-hmm. Does she always get it right?
It's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Like I threw in, we may have said this in a previous podcast, threw in $700 one night at the lake house at a party. Yeah. And I bought $700 worth of Apple stock. It was like $21 at it.
Oh, yeah.
At that time. And then
it's split since then too.
I saw it go to 5.
Yeah.
And I hadn't checked in a while, but it took a dip.
Oh yeah.
But it's split.
I made 60% on my money, but it took me, like if you really broke it down by annual, month, and day, it's like 20 cents a day. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really excite me. If I'd have thrown in 70,000 though.
Oh, because the number's not big enough for you.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like the percentage on my dollar.
Yeah. Well, that's the gamble, right? With everything. I mean, I kind of like the stock market, but I'm kind of like you where, I invest a certain amount so I can be where he's at. Like the mutual fund thing. Like he wasn't looking at that going, oh man, I made so much this week. But when it came time to retire, it was there.
Yeah.
It was a long game. It was
game.
23 years.
Stock is always going to be a long game.
So I try to play both sides of it though. So I'll try to play the long game.
Do you short anything?
No, because there's an infinite loss in the short.
I shorted a Lululemon.
Yeah,
a friend of mine. I was like, it's athletic gear.
Yeah,
athletic gear.
Listen, Law buys the shit out of it, so it would be what I would.
That's right.
Yeah, it did well with it.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm one of those guys. And I tell this to Jared all the time. I try to evaluate asymmetric upside. Mm-hmm. So I want to invest in things that have. If it literally dies tomorrow, I lose this much. But I feel like it has the potential to be this much, right?
Right.
And your brother would say that's like his Korean grandmother that would say, roll everything on 30 on the. to me, that's not what it is, because when you roll everything on 30, the downside is just as big as the upside.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
going to lose it all, or you're going to gain it all. You're going to make 30. You're going to lose $30, or you're going to make $30. The investments that I want are like where I spend $1 and I have the chance to make 10,000 or 1,000, or you name whatever that is. To me, it's an asymmetric upside versus downside.
It'd be quite the kerfluffle though if it went sideways though.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, so I'll do that. Like I'll invest in. I got a huge position in BP as well because it's a great dividend. Verizon, all those that pay those dividends, I have that, right, and that's my like, don't fuck shit up investment. But then on the other side of that, I'm like, when Tesla was big short, I rode in a Tesla, and I was like, this is a phenomenal invention. Like I'm a car guy. I'm like a hardcore petroleum, loud motors. I'm that guy. I rode in a Tesla and I'm like, damn,
This is something.
dude changed the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I this was in Vegas, instantly got home and I was like, checking it out, looked at the short position on Tesla. You know, a short position is potential buyers. It's actually guaranteed buyers, because when those people exit that short, they have to buy the stock to get out of that position. So the way I looked at it, I was like, okay, it's 50% shorted, 60% shorted. I'm like, those are all buyers at some point if he pulls it off. Instantly got home, put a big position on Tesla. I think it went, and I got lucky as shit because it happened to be the bottom. I think it went a month, it doubled. Sold half my position. Went another month, it doubled again.
Was this before the split?
Yes. This was the true bottom.
Oh, fantastic.
It doubled again. I sold the rest of my position because I'm like, this can't go on forever. And it went on. I left a ton on the table. But that's the kind of stuff I like to play with, as long as I have all the other stuff. I got my smart money.
We like to diversify.
Well, that's what it is. And that's kind of what we were talking about. You know, it's the mutual fund is the diversification of the gamble on the technology you believe in.
Yeah. I mean, I had corporate 401k. Right?
Yep.
I also have my, dabble account just to see what's going on. But, I had meetings with my financial advisor, Derek Merkler, very smart guy, West Point grad. And I was like, look, I don't like the stock market.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any creative juices going for me.
And I see that.
And he was like, well, let's take a look at your real estate portfolio. And he said, tell you what, and Derek gets paid by me being in the stock market.
Yeah.
That's how he makes money.
He said, just do what you do.
He said, you can take the hit on the tax side, cash in your 401k, and go buy real estate, because I can't make you the money that you're making on the real estate side. So I use it as operating capital.
The pushback that I'll give you on that, though, is you're not diversified.
No.
You're all in, which is fine. And that's how you'd be. If I took you to Cherokee and we gambled, you'd be an all-in guy. You're like, fuck it, let it all go.
I've still got money in my pocket. We can't leave.
No, what I'm saying is you would take every bit of money out of your pocket and you would put it on red, and you'd be like, let that motherfucker go.
I've done it.
I know.
I've done it.
Me, on the other hand, is like,
I have to.
I'm like, no, I want to play a little bit here. I want to play a little bit over there. I want to play a little bit over there. This one will win. That one loses. That's more my personality. So I get why you go with what you know. Right?
Yeah. Went to go see a concert at Cherokee. So we have our closest casino here is in Cherokee, North Carolina. It's called Harris Casino.
Indian Reservation.
And they have a great music venue. Great acts come through there.
Yeah.
I don't remember if might have been Blackberry Smoke, or somebody, and they were like, well,
No, it's probably George's boy,
Jamie Johnson.
Jamie Johnson. Yeah.
The tickets are only going to be $50 a piece. We're all carpooling up there, and we're all driving back home. It's only going to cost you like $100 in beer. Like, it'll be fine. I was like, you don't understand.
It's going to be $1,000 for
We
me.
got to walk through the casino to get to the music venue, and that just doesn't work. There's been some
And
times
just walk through when you leave.
That's exactly right. Who was the opening act? I don't know. I was on the casino floor. Like, bet it all on black, man.
Yeah.
Like, forget it.
Yeah.
So other than, gosh, what's the word? Your payouts.
Dividends. Yeah.
Other than your dividends, what's your number two that you look
Stock?
for?
First, I like history. I like something solid. I can give examples of Home Depot.
So you're a big value investor.
I am.
Okay.
I like a good. I mean, we're going to have up and downs.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart play. That's what Berkshire is
Oh, yeah.
100% value investing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, why didn't we get into that in the beginning? I still think it's a viable
But you know
stock
why?
today.
No, but you know why?
Yeah.
You know why you wouldn't? Because when somebody pitched it to you in the beginning, you'd been like, I don't know.
Right.
Whatever.
I'd rather buy real estate than
I'd rather
buy
buy real
stock in
estate.
a real estate
That's
company.
why.
Yeah, okay, fair
Because
enough.
I bring you stuff all the time, and it could be the beginning. But
You're right.
so anyway,
I want to say it was Mark Cuban. He said somebody asked him, "What's the worst, or what's the thing you most regret from a financial standpoint?" He said it was not. Like somebody called him from Uber, the guy who.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I need 15 grand or whatever. It's something,
He
maybe 50.
passed on it. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's a billionaire. 50 grand is what I need. He's like, I don't know, taxi cabs. What's that? And he passed on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple people. Gary Vee did the same thing.
did the exact same thing.
3 times.
Yeah. Gary Vee is college buddies with the guy that started Uber. Knew him really well. He didn't get the technology though.
Right.
So he lives in New York. This guy's like, look, man, you can get black car service instantly. And when Uber first started, it was only black car service. It wasn't like anybody.
Ford Fiat.
Yeah. And he's like, I just don't get it, man. I can get a taxi cheaper, And so then he passed on like the first round of investing, second round, the third round. That guy, I can't even think of his name. Travis, I think is his name. Anyway, he was in his office. He's like, let's take an Uber. And he said when he walked downstairs and they walked out the door, then the dude was parked there with the door open and he just walked in and they took off. He's like, I get it. It's not about the ride. It's about the convenience. You're paying for the convenience. And to be honest with you, anywhere I'm at, I use an Uber. That's the exact reason I do it.
Of course.
I pay way more, but I don't want to have to flag a taxi down. I don't want to have, bird scooters kind of the same way. Like I don't want to walk. I just hop on one of them damn scooters and
then
take
just
off.
leave it.
And just leave it. It's convenience.
Genius.
And half the taxis are nasty. There's a pile of puke in the back.
Ubers in college towns are the same.
Well, there is some truth to that.
How did you get an Uber license? And Mark Cuban's no idiot though.
No.
Like if he skipped on that, he had reasons for it, but it is a regret. Because we talk about this a lot. None of us have a crystal ball.
No.
Or we'd have bought up
Well,
a ton of real estate 3 years ago.
It's okay to pass on stuff and it's okay to miss opportunities because you want to stick to your gut and not everybody's gut is in the same arena.
Yeah.
Right? We could bring you stock stuff. It's not going to feel good to you.
That's right.
You could bring us real estate stuff. It may not feel good to us.
That's right.
But that doesn't mean that either one's wrong.
No, Cuban picked up the Dallas Mavs for $285 million. Today it's worth like $24 billion or some crazy number.
Jerry
like
Jones.
That. Yeah. It's just crazy. Nice guy though.
Yeah. I like Cuban.
Yeah. So tell me why you're hitting up Tesla. Is that you said yes to that one?
Technology company.
It's exactly where the technology is going, especially with the last election, 2020. It went, they're pushing everything towards solar, everything. And on top of my van, I have 200 watts of solar.
Yeah.
You see that overnight. And the more you drive down the street,
Yeah.
you see these solar panels on top of these cars. It could be vans, it could be trucks.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I like Tesla.
And that's where the money's at, though.
And I look at it more as a technology company than a car company.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. When you think of Apple, you don't think of them as a phone company. You think of them as a technology company. If you look at where the revenue comes from, it's not from phone sales, even though that's what everybody knows of. Where their revenue comes from is all the shit you have to have on that phone,
All the apps.
that you pay for, and that's what Tesla's going to do.
Yeah.
Those cars are just the phone.
Yeah.
They're going to sell you the car, and then all of a sudden, oh, we got this extra feature we're going to sell you. Oh, we got this monthly thing that we can offer you.
Yeah.
We got this. Now you can get apps. Now you can do this. Now your car can be an Uber once the cars can drive themselves. Oh, while you're at work, we got this app where you can go. It's like not Uber, it's Tuber. Mm-hmm. Now your car will drive around, pick people up while you're at work and make you money, and then come back and pick you up when you're done.
It's crazy.
So there'll be a bunch of that happens, and that's where the money is. Or he could just license. Tesla could just license all the information they've got over all these millions of miles that they've been collecting.
It's a data play.
It's a data play. It's a technology play. It's not a car company.
They're not going down. You think you could buy it today and still make money on the
I
stock?
think so, 100%.
100 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the next Apple. In my personal opinion, it's the next Apple.
Would you sell Apple to get into Tesla?
Yes.
Yes. Apple's at the end of their
You
play.
think of the Apple's bell curve
Well,
and headed down?
Yes. So Apple's like what Microsoft did. So Microsoft did this huge play right on, and now they're just they're still making money. They're not that relevant, right?
Kyle, that's a great point. 100. You couldn't even. Yeah. So what's going on in China right now is that they're having all these protests and everything else.
Yeah.
Everything's stopping in China right
Yep.
now. That's where they make Apple. That's where all the workers
Yeah.
and everything else. All the guts that you put in these phones. Now what Elon Musk's doing? He's coming out with the Pi phone,
Yeah.
which is going to be blow away what Apple.
It's going to work on Starlink.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be the next jump. What Steve Jobs did for the iPhone.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the next jump.
So I think what Elon does to Apple will be kind of like what Google did to like Microsoft. You know, Microsoft, they made a fortune on Office and Word and Excel, and then Google comes out and we're like, hey, we'll give you free email. We're going to give you free this. We're going to give you free everything. I think that'll be Elon.
Mm-hmm.
He'll come out, be like, oh, the phone's free, or it might cost you a little bit. But, you know, all these things will be incorporated with it that he can basically get you into that ecosystem of Tesla or whatever, you know, you name whatever it is that he's doing.
What platform are you trading on today?
TD America.
Yeah.
So you see,
Ameritrade.
do you see they just got bought by
I did.
Schwab?
I did. I got the email today.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
I don't check email. I probably did too.
Charles Schwab just bought TD Ameritrade.
I don't have a monopoly on that. What do you pay
And
for that?
I didn't know this. I was traveling when this.
I didn't know it
this
either.
happened.
I seen the email. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I woke up this morning. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Which might be good for us because I think that we might get extra features
Yeah.
come along. But yeah, I had no idea that deal was happening.
Well, after the break, or after the podcast, I'll let you take a look at my little play money of TD Ameritrade. It's not much, but it's 100% Apple. No diversification. All in.
The good thing about Schwab buying is you might be able to buy crypto on there. All right. Thanks for coming to the podcast.
It is time for us to wrap this up. Bobby Myers, thank you so much for taking the time out of your van travels to enlighten us on some stock tips and tell stories about the van days, man.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure seeing y'all again, and great time coming in here. I love all your the podcasts that y'all put out, man. There's some great information out there.
We'll have to have you back for some updates one day.
You let me know.
Not only that, we've hit a tenth of Bobby's life,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He's got so much content inside him to tell. So
I think there's a lot more stories in there too.
oh, there's a ton more. Some podcast friendly, some not, but they are. We will have you back again for sure.
Awesome.
Bobby Myers, thanks for listening.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate it.